Well, hi, Mom.
Hi, Gare.
I wanted to ask you a few questions about uh, growing up on the south side of Chicago, living in South Shore. Why did you choose the South Shore neighborhood when you guys were living in Englewood with your
Well,
mother?
I was born in Englewood, basically, and my folks they had they had been on the west side. They moved south because my dad, I guess, had bought the newspaper stand, and at any rate, I do remember this nice two-flat building that we owned. It had a wonderful front porch, and we had a big snowball bush, and in the back we had lilacs. Went to kindergarten for 2 years.
You went
Probably,
to you
yeah,
went
for
to
2 years, not because of stupidity or anything. I don't think. I don't know. I never even thought to question it.
This is when you
And
lived in Englewood.
I beg your pardon?
When you lived in Englewood, you went
Yeah.
to kindergarten for 2 years.
We lived on 66th Place, 728 West 66th Street. It was right off of Halsted, and a lot of fond memories there. Junie, cousin Junie, used to come from the west side. Uh, it had to have been shortly. I'm trying to figure out when my dad finally bought a car, what time. All I know is that we'd be in the car, and there was a big bridge that we had to cross when we went to the west side to pick up June to bring her south. And I don't know whether she was afraid of height or whatever. June had a lot of fears. But we always had a big paper bag that we would take out so that she could vomit into it as we crossed over the bridge over on, had to have been Western Avenue someplace. As I say, I don't remember much of that stuff. At any rate, my dad had been held up coming home from work, and because there was a passageway that he had to go into in order to get to the door into the house, and he was held up, but nothing happened to him, thank goodness. But of course it frightened Bubby, and we moved over to 69th Street. And I basically remember very little about our two-flat, except I think that we had Irish neighbors, the Dorgans, on the second floor. Really good neighbors, and I remember them calling Billy, little Billy. I don't know how old he was when we left that two-flat. I remember that walking to kindergarten, to Kershaw School, and it seemed like a long walk to me. I would it couldn't have been car sick because I was walking. I would vomit on the way. I guess I must have been very nervous as a child. At any rate, we eventually left 66th Street, and we moved to 919 West 69th Street. It was an apartment. It was three stories, stores underneath. That we considered the first floor, and then the second floor was the apartments that basically were over the stores, and then the third floor. We stayed in that building. I stayed in that building until I was pregnant with you, believe it or not. We lived at 919 West 69th Street originally. We were held up. Our apartment was ransacked because the bedroom windows faced the roof of a garage. And so, of course, we were not going to stay any place like that because not safe. Moved across the porch to 911 West 69th Street. Same building, same tenants, and we lived at 911, basically on the second floor. The owner of the building lived on the third floor. My memory of all this stuff, let's see, I was born in 1921. I was in second grade when we moved, so that would mean I was 7, approximately, whatever. And stayed there until I was went to my 3rd month with you. So that was, stayed there until, what is that, Gary? You were born in 47?
49.
No. Dad and I were married in 47. You were born in 49.
Right.
Okay. And so that's the length of time that I lived in that building. First at 919, then across 911 on the second floor. Oh, I neglected to tell you that later we stayed at 911, but we moved up to the 3rd floor. And I don't know why. I guess because it would be more private, because the 2nd floor was the whole roof of the stores. Aunt Rose had moved into the building then, so that June lived in the building at one time. The Pitts lived in the building. We had Jewish neighbors, we had Gentile neighbors, and it was great. It was just great growing up in that building. I remember that we were on, by this time, we were up on the 3rd floor, and at 911, my great buddy who I adored, Harry Levin, he should rest in peace, lived at 919, and I would stand on the back porch and sing "Love Thy Neighbor," but I don't know if he ever got the hint, but I did. He did take me to my senior prom. I'm jumping now into high school, but he took me to the senior prom, used my dad's car, and it wasn't until, God, maybe a year or 2 later that I found out that my parents gave him a $5 bill so that he could take me to the prom and then someplace to eat afterwards. Remember, still depression. And I didn't get home until maybe 5 o'clock. And I remember that we spent the whole evening after the prom and going to the restaurant, making out in the car. What a great memory. I was nuts about him. June was nuts about him. And he went downstate when he got through with, when he went to college, and he did ask me to come down one weekend, and it was very exciting to be asked to come down to visit a college man. And basically, the only thing that I can remember that was memorable was, believe it or not, having a hamburger with the malt. It was, ever since then I have adored malted milks with hamburgers. So anyway, that was my great experience at college.